We're joined today by 58th District House candidate Daren Wisely. Daren, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Andy. I really appreciate it.
I think the question that most people are concerned about right now is, will there be a wiffle ball tournament this summer?
I haven't looked that far ahead just because I've got so much going on with the campaign right now, but I wouldn't rule it out. Though 2 years ago we did the Labor Day tournament in 2018, and I don't think that's out of the question.
The wiffle ball tournament, I think JJ is currently scouring social media to find any kind of evidence that we're having it, so I hope you guys put it on at some point. Your name is Daren with one R.
Correct.
So I am misspelling it all over the place here. Why do you have one R in your name?
So I always just kind of took it for granted, and I know obviously that's an odd spelling. Usually it's two R's, or sometimes it's I-N, but it's usually never D-A-R-E-N. And one day I was 18 years old, senior in high school. I was on my way to church, and I was in the car with my mother. And I said, Mom, why did you name me? Did you just want to be different, make a statement or something? And she said, no, we actually meant to name you two R's the normal way, but the hospital just spelled it wrong, and we never got around to changing the birth certificate. So that's why it's spelled that way.
Daren with one R.
That's right.
Well, I saw this coming a couple of years ago when I started to watch your real estate ads on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You'd be driving to an appointment, promoting your brand and that kind of thing. And my kids and I enjoy watching those. They're really entertaining. But I could tell you had a feel for, promotion and for that kind of thing. I didn't know you cared so much about politics until later. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to pursue a career in politics, and in particular, this race for the House seat?
Sure. So, I think the seeds were definitely planted when I was in law school, because they're just like any big state institution, they push a hard left-wing agenda. And I went in pretty apolitical. I mean, I definitely wasn't left-wing or anything, but I was I just want to put my head down, work hard, get a degree, leave me alone. I don't really care what other people do. But, from the first week, the orientation week, I call it indoctrination week, because they're saying you're racist for being white, and even if you've never had a racist thought in your life, you don't know it. It's an implicit bias. And, of course, they think socialism is awesome, the way to go. And the fact that it's not just, hey, here are the two sides, make your own decision. It's, no, this is the way. This is the truth with a capital T. That got me thinking something was just off, and a lot of it I'm sure had to do with my upbringing, in a Christian home, a conservative family. But so then I started to pursue kind of, okay, what is the truth? Where do I stand on these issues? So I really got into a lot of my own reading, a lot of my own, just going back to our founding principles and going from there. I started really getting into economics, which reading some of Milton Friedman's work opened that door. And I had a small group of conservative friends in school who we all kind of felt the same way, that we were in somewhat, I don't want to say ostracized, because we had a lot of friends with everyone else, but our views were shut down. So we went from there, and from there I just got, once I started getting interested in this stuff, I just couldn't get enough of it. And I wanted to learn more. I wanted to sharpen my arguments. I wanted to get my views, and not just to back my views, but learn what are the right views. What is the best way to govern, to have a free society? How should it be? What are our founding principles, and do people mischaracterize them? So my last year in law school, I worked at the Indiana State Senate for their Senate Majority Leader. So I got all the behind the scenes in the legislative process. So it kind of led up to that, because I got more and more interested in politics, and I said, you know what? I want to get in firsthand. I want to be involved in this. Real cool experience. But that might have planted the seed for running. Before that, I'd never thought about running for office. I just thought about my political views, developing my political philosophy. But there, I kind of saw it, and I was kind of seeing the people there, and I said, you know what, I could do this. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to run in 2 years, but then, fast forward, seats opened up here in the 58th District, and this is my hometown, my community. This is where all my ties are. So I said, I think we deserve someone who holds our conservative values, who isn't just going to toe the establishment line, but is going to actually reflect our views of our district, Hillsdale and Branch counties. So that's when in short, that led to me throwing my hat in the ring.
Why not run for county commissioner or mayor or dog catcher? To go straight to a state elected office is a big jump for somebody who frankly hasn't done any of that. What do you say to people who say, I like Daren, but does he have the experience? Has he paid his dues to be able to have this seat?
Yeah, sure. And I understand that argument. I mean, as far as some of the other offices, well, part of it is we have a lot of good people in some of these other offices, so I don't want to run just to build my own, ambition or what have you. I want to run for a seat, just like our county commissioner in mind. My commissioner, Brad Benzing's running. I think he's a good guy. I think he has solid principles, so I wouldn't want to run against him.
That's fair.
But in terms of not having the experience, I don't have elected office experience. That's the appeal. The appeal is when you talk to me, I'm not just another politician. I'm not just talking around the issues. I answer the question straight. Sometimes almost to a fault, because when I don't hear a question, I say, hey, can you repeat it? Because I actually want to answer that question, not just say what I think people want to hear. And I realize not having elected office experience, some people that's concerning. But to me, the most important thing is your principles. And I am rock solid there, as solid as anyone in this race, more solid in my opinion. And again, I have studied the law. I've done, I've worked at the Indiana Senate. I've worked at a clinic for disabled veterans. I've worked in 2 different prosecutors' office. So I definitely have experience, even if it's not necessarily as an elected official.
You've been tough at times on your opponent, Andrew Fink. You and some others on social media have sort of implicated him in terms of taking money from outside our district, black or dark money, maybe with the energy industry. He says, I'm not going to tell people not to support me, but, he has 1 million ads up, TV ads, a lot of mailers being sent out. Some might say, well, yeah, the guy, these groups want to support him. What's wrong with that? You seem troubled by it. Why is it troubling to you?
Well, there's 2 different points I want to make. The first, it's troubling to me because, first off, in a state house race district for a rural area like this, that's a lot of money to throw behind it. Maybe in a bigger city, it's not as big a deal, but to hear that's unprecedented, and that was talked about at the debate. It wasn't like that for Eric Leuthauser, for people before him. And also, it's who are you beholden to? For me, I haven't taken any, money from groups like this to prop up a certain industry because I want to fight for our district. And, if you're backing the big corporations, the big lobbyists, you're not going to fight for our small businesses. Well, our small businesses are getting hurt from the shutdown, from the COVID. A lot of them are just getting by. But these small businesses are what make our community unique. I talked about the Checker Records, the Handmade, Gelzers, things like that. That's, part of being conservative in my mind is think locally, act locally. I bought all my sign, again, he's the only one who didn't buy his signs here locally. Weldon, Stockford, and me all went to Stockhouse. Down here, he bought his out of town in Detroit. So who are you beholden to? And you can't tell me when people are throwing this kind of money at you to get you elected that you're not going to owe them favors if you get into office. That's the first point. But the second point is, and I will concede, just for full, to be honest, that you can take money from a group and in theory not pay them back and say, haha, I took your money, but now I didn't do anything for you. So, I'll admit, I don't think that happens normally. I think that's the exception, not the norm. But what made me so upset at the debate that brought out the fire in me wasn't that he took money from these groups. We already knew that. It was the dishonesty about it. It was, I don't know where the money came from. Well, look at the campaign finance disclosure. It's right there. It's $1,500. So, money doesn't just show up magically in your account. Because in theory, these ads could be running without his knowledge, without his permission. That could be true, but then when you have money in your account, obviously that's not the case.
Do you take any outside money?
I haven't. All my money, all my campaign contributions have been from normal hardworking people, middle class families who $100 is a big deal to them. And I think 90% of my money is from inside the district because, again, that's who I'm beholden to. Now, I do have one outside endorsement, just again, to be full disclosure, not make it seem like I'm trying to cover anything up. Young Americans for Liberty, I don't know if you're familiar with the group. They are a more up-and-coming group, and what their goal is to get principled candidates in office. So they're focused on state legislative race primarily because in their mind, federal elections, Congress and all that, so much money to get someone in there. It's very hard to do. But at the state level, a lot of difference can be made on a much smaller budget. So they're trying to build a bench of liberty-minded legislators who are not going to sell out to the establishment, who are going to fight for the people. And they've been doing this since, I believe, 2018. And what they do, now they don't work directly with me. They can't do that. They send out college kids who are paid to go and back people. And these college kids are on fire for the liberty movement. They're sick of the status quo, they're sick of the way things are, and they're going out there to promote very specific people. In our state, they've only endorsed 3 candidates. Myself, my friend Steve Cara over in the 59th district, and one other guy who I don't know. But getting their endorsement to me shows that someone outside here, or just someone in general, recognizes my principles and my commitment to actually do what I'm saying I'm going to do. That means a ton to me. And again, it's not like I'm going to be beholden to a special interest. They're not a lobbying group. They just want liberty. They want freedom.
Now, I've listened to Andrew Fink a few times defend this. He says, I'm not beholden to anybody other than my constituents. I don't think just because somebody's paying for his commercials that necessarily means he wouldn't support Checker John or Handmade or anything like that. And I've invited him to come and do a segment also, so I'd like to get his thoughts on it. But I appreciate your side of the story there. Now, from the beginning of your campaign, you've put Second Amendment rights at the forefront.
Absolutely.
And I saw you on New Year's Day, a great segment. I guess it was New Year's Eve, right? Mm-hmm. When you released a segment talking about how important the Second Amendment is to you. And all through this campaign, it's really been important to you to talk about. When did that start with you? Did you enjoy using firearms even as a kid? Give me a little background on why that's such a key issue for you.
Yeah, so to me, no, I was never really like a big hunter or anything like. Actually, I've never been hunting. My sister is, if you follow her on social media, but she's bringing home something dead every week, it seems like. But no, to me, it just goes into studying the Constitution, learning the principles are founded on, and the Second Amendment to me is the right that protects all the rest. And you hear that a lot, but that really means something to me because the founders of this country knew that an armed citizenry is the only way to protect against a tyrannical government. If you look at the atrocities of the 20th century, Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, a lot of other places, what do they do first? They take the guns away. And, a lot of things are going wrong in our country that I don't agree with, but one of the reasons we still have the freedom we do is that someone can't just in the middle of the night come to our homes, round us up, throw us in a prison or something, because you never know who's going to be armed, how many they're going to have. And I said this, when the whole rioting, looting started, someone said they're going to come to Hillsdale. I said, we've got more guns than we do people in Hillsdale. No one is going to do that. They would have to be such an idiot. So, but the Second Amendment, it's a God-given right. And, I believe we have natural rights that exist as part of our humanity. That's very important to me, and that's been a central plank of my campaign. And I think that the right to bear arms is saying that, hey, you have the right to live, you have the right to defend yourself, your family, and your property from an intruder, a criminal, or a tyrannical government.
Daren Wisely is our guest here on Off Air with Andy Brown. I appreciate your time today. I know you're busy in the middle of the campaign, so I'll get you out of here in a few minutes. But like most of the other candidates, you've been critical of Governor Whitmer and her response to the coronavirus pandemic. I read articles on every side of the political aisle, and a lot of scientists and experts do say that masks can mitigate the problem, that it can make it better. Playing the devil's advocate, why shouldn't the governor promote or encourage at least practices that would help to put this pandemic down. I want to have college football. I want my kids to be able to play high school sports this year. Whatever we have to do to get this thing behind us, I want to do so we can get back to life. Is Governor Whitmer wrong with trying to promote masks if that could help end this thing?
Well, she can promote all she wants. I have no problem with any elected official at any level encouraging people to if it's wear a mask or whatever they think is important. They have a platform and they can use that as a bully pulpit. My problem is the use of force, and I don't think she has any right constitutionally to do what she's doing. I've looked at a lot of the science. I'm skeptical at best, and I agree. I do want to get this behind us, but I don't think all these precautions are going to help, because what I see, I want college football too. I see, well, what if, one person on, say, Michigan's team gets the coronavirus, then are they going to quarantine for 14 days, skip those games? I mean, it's just, there's no end in sight unless we just go back to being regular people. And you think about football, well, you're sharing that tight locker room, there's all the sweaty pads, there's all that. So there's no way to play football without coming in you're tackling people. So the only way forward, in my opinion, is to say, look, you have to assess your own risk if you don't want to play sports. If you don't want to wear a mask, or if you do want to wear a mask, that's your choice. But the people who want to live a normal life should be allowed to do that, and no one, government or otherwise, should stop them. And I forgot what else I was going to say about it, but
the bottom line is you would promote personal responsibility,
exactly,
personal choice,
yes,
and so you would be fine with the governor recommending this,
absolutely,
but not forcing people to do it.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Thank you to Daren Wisely. I wanted to get your thoughts on the campaign process.
Sure.
It's a two-part question.
Okay.
You've been working extremely hard to campaign for this post. And as someone who's never run for office, I'm interested, what's the best part about this process been, and what's the worst part of the process been?
Sure. Well, the best part of the process, I'm closing in on hitting 5,000 doors in these two counties. The best part is talking to people, looking them in the eye, hearing what's important to them, and saying, I'm going to fight for you. And it gives me encouragement in all the stuff going on in our society. It's been a crazy year, but to know, hey, there's a lot of good people out there. These people deserve to have their freedom protected. And that is what gets me out of bed to do this day after day. It's exhausting. So that's the best part, although I did have a lot of fun at the debate. That was my first time debating anything. I've never been on a debate team or anything. That was a lot of fun. But, the best part's just talking to people, hearing what's important to them. And then what was the other part, the worst part?
Yeah, what's been the toughest part about it?
The toughest part, one, just to keep going, because, again, I don't have the big campaign finance. I don't have a huge war chest, so to know I'm going to have absolute grit, keep working, and obviously some of my opponents have a lot of money, a lot of backing them. I think the toughest part is just getting that word out about what I stand for. Because, when you think about a presidential election, everyone tunes into that. Everyone kind of knows what people's stance are, and they vote based on what they see, what they hear. But in a state house race, you don't have one single platform. For instance, if everyone in the district was watching that debate, that would be a platform, and you and Joshua talked about the distinguishing between the four of us. Well, we don't have that here, so the only way for me to get my word out, I can do mail. A lot of that goes in the trash, for not just for me, for anyone. Sure. But it's to reach these people, Some people aren't home. Some people don't want to talk, might be busy. So I think the hardest part, it's kind of the two-edged sword of, I love going out there, talking to people. The hardest part is, how am I going to reach them? And how am I going to let them know why to vote for me? What's unique about my message? What's not just a Fox News talking point?
All right, where are you watching the election results come in? Will you be right at a courthouse somewhere? Are you going to be home with family? What is your plan for election night?
I haven't gotten the plans together yet. Like I said, there's so much going on to think that far ahead. But I do want to do a get-together. I want to be with my friends and family because they have been so great at supporting me. I'm so blessed to have their support. So I definitely plan on doing something. I just haven't figured out what exactly.
Well, the election's coming up August 4th.
Correct.
And Daren Wisely on the ballot, a Republican candidate in the primary for the 58th district seat. I know you are busy. I appreciate a few minutes, man. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.